guys, I have not been able to carve out time to sit down and start rifling through and just cranking out those question and answer videos. So I think what I'm going to do is maybe try to do a little bit like right now while I'm driving. I forgot to bring my list of questions, but that's okay. I remember some of them. One of the questions was, can you explain co-op and how that works, how we got involved in it? So there are lots of co-ops around this area. There's a pretty good community of homeschoolers in the Metro Detroit, Ann Arbor, Brighton area. And so because of that, there are lots of co-ops that have formed. And what a co-op is, it's just a group of parents who have gotten together and they have decided to get together and have some classes for their children that are homeschooled, but they can use the strengths of different teachers. So somebody might teach a sewing class, somebody might teach a grammar class, somebody might teach math or science or whatever the class is. So how we got involved in the co-op is we were in a Catholic co-op, and some friends of ours had talked about the co-op and had mentioned that they were in it, they liked it. It's being run at their church, which is not our home church. And they actually had a waiting list, but they needed a science teacher for a boys class, and they preferred to have a man teach the class if at all possible. Just, I don't know, to keep the boys under control. I'm not sure. Anyway, they asked if I was interested in doing it, and I like science. I've told you guys before, I am not a teacher by trade, but they had a program that they were using that gave us an outline for what we needed to do every week. So I said, sure, I'd love to do it. So I taught science for 3 years, I think. And I taught 5th and 6th grade boys science. And depending on the year, we would either do outdoor activities, plant identification, animal identification. We did some astronomy type stuff, identifying stars. We also like different types of stars. We did dissections and stuff like that. Well, this year we decided that we were just going to have our kids be in the afternoon of the co-op, and the science class was in the morning. So I switched over to teaching gym, which is even more up my alley. You guys know I coach. I love sports, so that works out really well. And I've actually got a lot of good helpers. So yeah, it works out really well. We like the co-op. Some of the classes that, especially Homestead Boy 1 is taking, are more advanced. So as he gets older, some of the classes that he needs to take, I am not as proficient in. The good news is that for all homeschool curriculums, they give you everything you need. And as a rule, most homeschoolers tend to be pretty self-sufficient and self-starting and self-learning. So that doesn't always happen, but more often than not. So that being said, like I love writing. I'm not a big fan of grammar. He was able to take grammar last year. This year he's taking logic. So stuff like that is great. Now, I don't know if I've told you guys, but we plan on reevaluating each individual child and what's best for them every single year. So there may be a time where he ends up at a school, or Homestead Boy 2 or Homestead Girl 1, or any of our kids could end up at school. For right now, this works well for us, but next year might be different. Anyway, that's co-op. Somebody had asked how many people are in co-op. I'm terrible at guessing. Yeah, but I think Homestead Boy 1 just said 300. I would guess probably between 250 and 300. They also run a Tuesday all-day co-op that we go to half-day, and that actually partners with a somewhat local school district for more elective type classes, although not all electives. But like Homestead Boy 1 is able to take Lego robotics and a photography class, So yeah, that's what we do. I think there is a waiting list for the co-op now. Somebody had asked how you're able to join. You have to get on the list, and you have to be willing to teach. So we do, I think it's it's 2 major jobs and 1 minor job, something like that. So like teaching, cleaning up. I feel like my eye looks, I don't know, it looks like it's swollen or something. Anyway, that's co-op. That was a long one. This question and answer video may be a several parter, but if you have any other questions about co-op, let me know. Let's move on to the next question. So Brian Mullins asks about the pigs, how they're doing in the winter, and if we did anything different with them in the winter. And then he also asked about what breeds of chickens we have and if meat chickens lay. So quickly, meat chickens will lay, they just won't lay as much, nearly as much, and probably not as big an egg. The breeds of chickens that we have mostly Orpingtons. I really like the Orpington breed for a northern breed. I don't know how they do down south, but up here they do really well in the winter. They have a larger body, so if we get roosters, it's a little bit better for meat. And they tend to lay pretty well through the winter. They're not like as prolific as some of the sex links or a white leghorn or anything like that, but they do lay pretty well, and I think they're pretty. We started with the buff Orpingtons, but now we've got lavender Orpingtons and Jubilee Orpingtons, and blue, black, and splash, so we really like those. We also have Australorps, which lay really well. They're a black bird with like an iridescent green sheen to them. And then we've got like silver laced Wyandottes. Wyandottes are great birds for up in the north. So you've got your Wyandottes, the Australorps, the buff Orpingtons, and then we've got a couple, what are they called? They're like the sex links, where they're bred just for laying eggs. So we like all of them. I like having a variety of eggs. So the sex links lay a white egg, or some of them do, and then the Orpingtons lay a brown egg, and then we've got a couple who lay tinted green eggs. The pigs are doing great. With that pig water that we have, I just put a stock tank heater in there, and it works really well. And then they've got that 3-sided shed, and then we just give them hay, and they either eat the hay or sometimes they'll take it in and they'll nest down in it. So they seem to be doing really well. They're not putting on weight so much in the winter, but I don't put feed to them really hard. So overall, they do really well, and they're pretty low maintenance. So I like the pigs a lot, and for that matter. So longtime subscriber Brian Philbrook had asked, what's my story? Like, how did I end up at home with kids? How, am I at home with kids instead of my wife? So I used to own a landscaping company, and when we had one child, Homestead Boy 1, I would get my crews out and all set up, and I would get all the phone calls and meeting face-to-face with customers that I needed to get done in the morning. And my mom or my mother-in-law would watch Homestead Boy 1, and then when I was done with that, I would go pick him up and head back home, and my crews would finish out the day, and everything was great. When we had Homestead Boy 2, we decided that it was probably a lot to ask of them to watch 2 kids under the age of 2.5. So we figured if I could sell the company and make enough money from selling the company for me to stay home, then I would stay home. So that's what we did. My wife was she still is in the medical field, and she has a great job. So we decided that she would stay working and I would stay at home with the kids. Now, don't understand this as she wanted to keep working, because she would want nothing more than to be at home with our children. She loves our children immensely and would love to stay at home with the children. And I've told you guys before, my long-term goal for this channel is if I could make enough money from YouTube to bring my wife home 1 day a week, so she was only away from the house 4 days a week, I would be in heaven. That would be amazing. That being said, so I stay at home with kids. That's how it worked out. And when we started homeschooling, like I said, I'm not a teacher by trade, so I just kind of told my wife, as long as we find a homeschool program that kind of gives us everything we need, then I'm cool with doing that. And we found, we use Seton, and it's a Catholic homeschool program, and it gives us everything we need for homeschooling. So that's how I ended up staying at home.